like we do.
Right.
I was like, I got $15,000, and he was like, no brainer.
Right.
Here's what you do, and he breaks it down. Go buy a two-bedroom, one-bath house, or 3-bedroom, 2-bath
Right.
house. Nothing too big. Fix it up, put a renter, and he breaks down the game on a napkin.
Here with the Hustle Nation. One of the things I've always talked about is being in a position with other people that you will trade places with, not only as far as their background, their net worth, but also taking their advice and whatnot. I've been over here in New Orleans for a gathering. Gerald Peters, Full Auto 11 on Instagram, had a social gathering last night, 3 hours of assorted stock investors and real estate investors from all over the country. We had people from California, from anybody from Iowa, Desmond Owens, or however you pronounce it.
Iowa, Wisconsin.
Georgia had Amigo, the
LA.
junk removal. LA, Ray from LA had, what's her name, Boxwalla or whatever, the welder from Tampa and everything. So basically a conglomeration of people from all over that are looking for financial independence, okay? And what I want to do is just kind of talk with him about what it is that got him started and what he recommends to people, because I have people all the time, hey, what do you suggest that I do? How should I get started and everything like that? So kind of give people a rundown as far as what you're about and what you're doing these days and what you got started with. I know you didn't start out with an inheritance or anything of that nature, and when the guy told you about how to become a millionaire on the napkin, start there for me.
Yeah, yes, man. So name's Gerald Peters, 52 years old. And yeah, we'll start where I first came into real estate. I'm out of the Army. I'm a young man. I'm like, I want to say I'm 30, 29 or 30.
Right.
A good friend of my wife since childhood, since like 3rd grade, she wanted me to go on vacation with her and her husband.
Right.
And he's a millionaire. And he's about the same, a couple years older than me.
Okay.
Owned a business. He owned some property. I've got a yard hustle going.
Right.
So we all always got some kind of hustle going. I got a part-time job. I'm trying this, I'm trying that. And I had enough wisdom, so to say, to stack a little money.
Sure.
I had $15,000. And I go on this trip and we're drinking, like here, we're talking, having a good time. And, he starts asking me about my situation.
Right.
This is a guy that likes to make money with money. And he's like,
Right.
well, how much money you got? Like we do.
Right.
I was like, I got $15,000. And he was like, no brainer.
Right.
Here's what you do. And he breaks it down. Go buy a two-bedroom, one-bath house, or 3-bedroom, 2-bath
Right.
house. Nothing too big. Fix it up, put a renter. And he breaks down the game on a napkin, basically.
Okay.
20% down.
Gotcha.
Forced equity or sweat equity, whatever we want to call it.
Right.
And then, he sums it up. Do that 10 times, you're a millionaire.
Gotcha. So you get the first house, you start collecting some rent, you start seeing it starting to build up in an account. What did you do with that money?
Really, for me, it's been rinse and repeat. And as you start to go through that process, and you're now building, you're not just creating cash flow, you're like building wealth.
So you didn't go and buy a new car, you didn't go buy a big screen TV, you didn't remodel your home.
We did do those things over the years. I mean, I'm 52.
Right.
But I never borrowed on those things.
In other words, you left the money alone. You
Right.
remained disciplined and used that to make more money with.
Right. And my goal's always been let my assets buy me a truck.
Sure.
And then I still own the assets. I ain't got no payments.
Right. Okay.
I like to take my money and put it in assets.
Okay.
And if I could get the cash flow from the assets to pay for things,
Sure.
or leave it there to buy more assets.
Right.
Ideally, at the beginning.
Right.
The first 7 to 10 years is that.
Right.
You got to compound. You got to grow. You got to multiply. And so you're putting off things.
Right.
I only recently bought new trucks. I only recently bought 2nd and 3rd homes.
Right.
I'm only recently doing those things.
Right. So you've been in the game for 20-something years and just now starting to buy some of those luxuries that you see a lot of people get in the game and immediately they go out and spend that money on something like that.
Right. Lifestyles is the killer for everyone.
Sure.
I teach these things all the time called the 9 thoughts on getting rich. And thought number 3 is you have to revolve your life around it. You won't accidentally build wealth.
Right.
You won't accidentally get rich. And the thing is, it doesn't take as much as you think. It just takes it takes money.
Right.
And you got to get into the game. You got to understand time times amount times yield, earning, cash flow, appreciation, a little bit about the tax code.
Sure.
And then just hustle and look for deals.
Right. So, and you've actually taken this and exponentially not only grown your net worth, but you've also grown your educational process as far as what you've learned, but then also teaching others. You've got a couple ebooks that are out. You got one that's free, so I'll include a link. You can go to it and get it and everything like that. Let me ask you this. Was there any secret that you uncovered? Was there any like mystical mojo, some voodoo, New Orleans, that you uncovered that, oh yeah, that's why the rich only get rich?
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any secret knowledge. I think there's strategy.
Sure.
System. And so you have to have a philosophy.
Right.
And my philosophy is, and what we've tried to do as close as possible, get to where I'm investing half my income.
Okay.
And I think on any level that works.
Sure.
If you make $1 million a year and you're investing 500,000, if you make 50,000 and you're investing 25, and somehow you got to figure out how to live.
Right.
On the half.
Right.
And that structure in your life. Now you may not can start there immediately, like you're like, wow, that's out of possibility. But if we can decrease our debts, grow our income,
right,
then that spread gets wider and wider.
Right. So not only did you have focus on this is what I'm going to do, this is where I want to get, but you kept doing this day in and day out. So it was focus and discipline, regardless of, hey, I want a new truck, I'm investing, I want this, I'm not I'm not spending it here, I'm going to do this. And so investing was a priority. Keeping your eyes focused on the prize was a priority as well. As far as this is where I'm going to get to, and if it takes $300 a day or $100 a day or $5,000 a month, you stuck to the plan. You didn't divert. It wasn't like a one time I just put $5,000 in and this is what happened.
And then that people stall out, right?
Sure.
You see that. He goes, oh, I had 2 properties and they've had 2 properties for 7 years.
Right.
I say, bro,
right.
You should be at 10, 12, 14 right now.
Right.
And then how much easier is it to get to 15 once you're at 14?
Sure.
It gets exponentially easier.
Absolutely.
To grow your wealth.
Right.
And, yeah, that's a big. I often get asked, if you had $1,000, if you had $10,000, what would you invest?
Go buy a course.
Well, if you got $1,000, a course is probably what you should buy.
Absolutely.
You can only invest in 3 things: 1, yourself.
Right.
2, a business or someone else's business, which is stocks.
Sure.
3 is real estate. Somebody says, well, what if you invent something? Well, that's kind of like business.
Right.
I mean, it falls into those things.
Sure.
And the course is, everything I learned from some guy selling a course.
Right. Right.
We've talked about that before. Because they're just not going to teach you in school. I don't even know if they teach it in finance school in college. How to buy a trailer park or how to buy a parking lot or how to flip I don't know if they do that.
Right. No, they don't.
And that's the game. And no one's going to come to your house and say, oh, I got a house for you up the street.
Right.
You got to go get it.
Sure. Sure.
And we saw that yesterday we interviewed Carlo, and he basically takes $72,000 down.
Right.
Another $150,000, and over the next 6, 7, 8 years, it's going to be millions of dollars.
Sure. Sure. So the deal we're talking about with this gentleman, Carlo, he's Wolf of Houston on Instagram. He basically, this money out of his pocket and everything, he turned that into about $500,000 in equity in less than 6 months.
Less than 6 months.
Yeah, in less than 6 months. Okay, so that's money that's just sitting there in something that he can tap. Okay, I went to breakfast with him and his lady and Gerald. Okay, we walked around for 20, 30 minutes, 10 minutes there, 30 minutes back, and everything. We probably looked at no less than 200 buildings and structures on the way there and back. Okay, here's the thing: is all of these have existed since at least 1780.
Right.
Okay, conservatively, how old is the place where we're at right now?
It was built in 1822.
1822. It has been standing since 1822. Okay. Could you buy stock in Coca-Cola in 1822?
I kind of mentioned that in my talk last night.
Right.
Like the oldest stock I can think of. There are olders. There's like 10 stocks in the stock market now that are older than Coca-Cola.
Okay.
But it is one of the oldest living legitimate investments you
Sure,
could have made
sure.
that is still around.
Sure.
So it's definitely a benchmark. But there's tons of properties that are older.
Right. And the thing is that I'm not knocking the stock market whatsoever. It's one of the things that I love about real estate is the longevity of it, okay? And everybody needs food, clothing, and shelter. They've got to have it, okay? Not everybody needs Netflix. Not everybody needs a cell phone. Not everybody needs, Nike shoes, okay? But they got to have shelter. And the thing about it is that there's so many different avenues and angles that you can work this real estate game and everything like that. And it is available to virtually everybody. In this country, you can do it if you'll just do a few simple things. One, have a job that's steady and have a debt to equity ratio that's low. In other words, you don't have a whole bunch of debt and owe a bunch of people money. And then you have good credit. And if those things aren't possible right now, get your credit in line. Start looking for a job that you make more money at so you have more income each month that doesn't have to go to paying some bills, and then stack some cash like he talked about. $15,000. He used that 20% down. Boom. Now you got a house and now you're in the game and everything like that. And what was it you were suggested to do? A house a year for 10 years and then you'll be a millionaire.
Yeah, if you want to be a guaranteed millionaire.
Sure.
It'd probably be more.
Right.
Honestly, it'd probably be like 2 and 3, right?
Right.
But if you could get 10 properties, and then the next 10, 20 years you don't do any of that, those
Right.
are just they're gonna double.
Right.
And double.
Right.
So it's a no-brainer way. And that's what hit me when he said, do what I just showed you on a napkin 10 more times or 9 more times.
Right.
You're a millionaire.
Right.
Like, that's it.
Right.
So then I just went about doing that.
Sure. So let me ask you this, Dave. What is it that kind of got you thinking along these lines as far as building some type of wealth and having some money coming in that you're not physically occupying your time to do?
Yeah, I think once you start working a job, you start working in your retirement, investing in
Sure.
401k, it opens up your eyes, but then you start to realize like that's probably not going to be enough.
Right.
So what can I do to get more money?
I got
So
you.
I can invest more, own property. So that's kind of how, like Gerald was saying last night, every Rich Dad Poor Dad is like the Bible of
Sure,
all this, right?
sure,
So I read
sure.
that at a very young age, and I've just kind of been on this pursuit of knowledge
Right.
and run across, Gerald and, buy his courses, and I'm looking at the stock market and I'm like, I could figure this out and probably do better than a 401k if
Sure.
I'm actually actively looking at it
Right.
and not just passively doing it.
Right.
So I really just want to take control
Gotcha.
of my finances, in my future,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And one thing that I always advocate is that if we're not watching our money, then we're going to watch it go out the window. Okay, there's an unwritten rule about that if you're not guarding the treasure, then you're not going to have any treasure to be guarded. And so, there is no pie in the sky. This is not a lottery. You're not going to hit it overnight or anything like that. Something that's somebody brought to my attention is that poor people will take a little bit of money and invest it to make a huge return, okay? And rich people don't do that. Rich people will take a little bit of money or take a lot of money to make a small return. However, it's a calculated risk, and they always ask first, what's the likeliness of me getting my money back? A poor person never asks that, okay? If you ask any person that's standing in that line to buy lottery tickets, they will tell you, I'm not going to win, okay? I've never heard anybody say, I know for sure I'm going to win. What I do hear is, well, I hope to, and if I get the money, this is what I'm going to do. They already got it spent before they even have it in their hands, okay? And that's a mindset of the poor, okay? Mindset of the rich is I got this money, Gerald talks about it, I need to stay broke. What am I going to do with this money to start making some money? So I just wanted y'all to see from two people, somebody new getting into the game, somebody that I would trade places with a higher net worth. There was no magic formula. All it is staying focused and disciplined, consistency, day in and day out, making this thing happen, and it's available to everybody. Do you have a college degree?
No, sir.
I got a 2-year degree in industrial electricity and electronics.
I do. Yes.
And you've got a bachelor's in that?
Bachelor's in accounting.
And he's with the immigration department, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's got a W-2. And if you have one, I suggest keeping it and building your rentals because it's a lot easier to get loans when you have a good W-2.
It's an asset. Sometimes people think, it'd be an asset if I don't have a job.
Sure.
It's like, no, bro.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier with a job to get properties.
It's very difficult to do this game, if you're just starting out and you don't have a W-2 for them to be able to go back and look at those earnings and everything of that nature. I assure you, I started acquiring properties when I still had jobs that I was working that were paying well, so it was easier back then. you know, my whole thing is that financial independence is available to everybody, and it's a wonderful thing to just say, you know what, I want to go to New Orleans and see some friends and hang out. I didn't look at the menu as far as prices or anything. I just ordered exactly what it is that I want. And we all want that freedom. We want to be able to wake up in the morning and say, what is it that I want to do, instead of what can I do because I can't afford it. So, do you have parting words of wisdom, Gerald?
No, if last night I was saying I'm always trying to simplify everything.
Sure.
And I think all of this, what we were just saying, comes down to philosophy.
Right.
Do you have a philosophy for your life and money?
Sure.
You don't have to, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to get it right. You got to get it going, and you need to be seeing the big picture of what we're saying here, and just be on it every day.
Sure.
So little things every day, right?
Absolutely. What about you, Dave?
Well, I think Gerald, you know, I'm gonna take it out of your you know, pocket, but you broke it down pretty simple. It's like you have to start, and then you always talk about the fractal patterns, and you said $100 a day. If you could get $100 a day and stack that, and then buy an investment property, or
$100 a day will make you a multi-millionaire.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So just start and break it down. What can you get $20 a day, or $50
Right.
a day, $100 a day, and then go from there.
Right.
And just grow it.
So, and even just, you know, my mind, as soon as he said that about $100 a day, is, you know, I talk to people that have a cleaning business that would come to like a place like this, clean it for them, and they charge $25 to $50 an hour. Okay, so what does that mean? You clean 2 places a day or 1 place for 4 hours, and boom, you got the $100. Okay, the problem is that people don't want to do that because it's work and it takes extra effort. You know, one thing you follow him, you'll hear about is the 8th day. Okay, I work 6 days a week. I love what I do. Sometimes it's 7. And the thing about it is that that's how you build wealth. Again, it's not rocket science. This is available to everybody. This is Robert with the Hustle Nation. I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day.